Our first preseason game is officially in the books. Everybody's getting injured, but we're still going to draft. We got 1 month left. Let's just jump right into it.
Three, two, one.
Good morning, everybody. It is August, which is crazy. We are exactly a month and a day, I believe, away until our first NFL game. Things are going quite fast, breakneck speed, but we are still going to get here and draft into drafters today for our first draft, depending on how quick this goes. Maybe we'll fire a second. Who knows? Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to see some more of these preseason games. Famously, we overreact every single year to a single preseason game and overanalyze, underanalyze, whichever you want to call it, on certain situations. But let's go ahead and let's just jump right into our first draft in case we do get to, especially because we need everybody here to oh shit, I jumped into Superflex. That's not what I want. We want to do the main. That was a mistake. There we go. We need 8 more. So seems fitting to jump in right away. We watched the Chargers and some version of the Detroit Lions play on Thursday night, and people are overreacting. I'm not worried about Amari and Hampton. I've seen some concerns. They put him in there for a drive, I think, just to get him into the game, just to get him into an NFL game. He didn't turn a corner on one play. Big deal. Other than that, they were just running Vidal through. It's the first time that we actually realized that he's a real person. So that was interesting. People are overreacting to some of the wide receiver stuff, I believe. I think it's something to keep an eye on with how they, like, I'm not worried about Trey Harris, and I'm definitely not worried about Quentin Johnston. If anything, I thought Thursday was a bullish sign on Quentin Johnston. They felt as though putting him in that game made no sense. So it feels like they have plans for him, at least to start the year. And on a site like Drafters, that's fine by me. If you think he could lose a job midway through the year, that I totally understand. But for me, I'm still going to draft QJ, but it just gives us 4 wide receivers to draft from the Chargers this year. So that is kind of the way that I'm going to play it, is I just want to get as many of the Chargers wide receivers as I can. And I continue to play it that particular way. QJ was a huge guy for me like a month ago. He's come up in price a little bit, and I've sort of not cooled off, but I'm not taking him at the clip I was taking him before. It's a Hall of Fame game. It is what it is. People are overreacting. Not only do we overreact to the Hall of Fame game, we overreact to the Friends and Family game for the Packers every year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm okay with still drafting the Packers as you want to draft the Packers. I'm not going to go nuts on overanalyzing a game that they can't even tackle in, is what I will say. So, however you want to play that, totally get it. Fine with it. We will be firing into this Drafters. Drafters has a promo out right now, where if you draft for 10 consecutive days, you get a main event ticket plus a $10 pick'em ticket. If you draft for 20 consecutive days, you get 2 $20 mains and a $25 pick'em. And if you draft for 30 consecutive, you're going to get 3 $20 main event tickets and a $50 pick'em. So that's for the $20 main event. So if you are drafting there, I would go ahead and draft Good Morning South consecutively. Plan out your drafts. You might be a day late for being able to get 30 if you haven't done it, but you can still get that 20. We are live, and we are drafting out of the 5 hole. We've got B-Card in here. We've got Moxie in here. don't recognize any of the other names. If you're in here, reveal yourself. 5 spot, not a terrible spot, not my favorite spot to draft from. I think it's fine. We're probably going to get Justin Jefferson or Jahmyr Gibbs, which I'm fine with. My exposure is pretty flat across these first few picks, and then Saquon's 1%, CMC 0%. Monra, I've only drafted 1% of as well. So do what you will with that information. I am thinking of, I've been toying with the idea of writing and recording today the worst pick through the first 10 rounds of drafts. And I might do that today. I've been thinking through that quite a bit the last few days. And the first round is always an interesting one because like there theoretically is no bad pick in the first round, obviously. But I do have a player that I am drafting that I think is the worst pick in the first round, just from the perspective of how you are able to like build teams. So I think that's something I might hit on. But that's who I am as a drafter. I like to make stands against certain players and not draft them, especially in the first round. Doritos in the 3-hole under his burner account, which is Davey Golf's. Nice. Got to be careful saying stuff like that, Dorito. They'll come after you. I got accused of multi-accounting like 2 or 3 years ago because there was somebody on Underdog that had a name that was like King Coes, or it looked like it was close to my name. So we can go Justin Jefferson or Jahmyr Gibbs here. I think I'm just going to grab Jefferson. We're only at 6%. It's not a player that I really want to be underweight on by any means. And this is the chance that you have if you are underweight Jefferson. With the injury stuff, he's taken a bit of a dip. So you can catch up on your exposure to Jefferson right now if that's something you want to do. We see Malik Neighbors get pulled up. B. Kurt snaps up Jahmyr Gibbs there at the 7th spot. And then CMC goes right after. Yes, I know, Dorito. I knew it was sarcasm. One thing I've learned with the internet is not everybody understands sarcasm. As someone that is very prominent and fluent in sarcasm, it is something that I have learned throughout my time online. I'm also very deadpan on my delivery, although typing, you would think people would get it, but you know how it is. That is true, RGT. That is true. Also, just the dumbest way to do it, the way that he did it. We don't have to get fully into it, but Jesus, man. If you were ever going to do it in a more obvious way, that was the obvious way. There, we are going to be coming back up on the clock here in a second. And after my next pick, or next 2 picks, I'll explain what my overlay is showing. This is the time of the year that the overlay really, really helps after you've done so many drafts, and you can start to see what your roster is. B. Kurt does take Bowers. That was something that I was looking to do there. I'm not going to do the Jefferson Henry thing. Or am I? I'm not. I don't think. It is a 1% combo. It is a 1% combo. We're going to do it. So it hurts my soul to do it. But we're going to do it. We are going to do it. We're going to take our probably 1 share of Derrick Henry on this team. I don't love it. I don't love doing it. But we are drafting a team It makes me feel sick. I don't feel good anymore. I want to vomit. I'm just going to keep talking about all the bad things within that pick. Morning, we're here. We were having a wonderful Sunday, and then we talked ourselves into taking Derrick Henry because he is only 1% owned with Justin Jefferson. So we went ahead and took it. Especially with that Jefferson fall, I think just being kind of a fake quick fall and it's going to move back up. I don't think so, RGT. I think it's mostly fun. Okay. We could go McBride. I think McBride's the play here. I do like Hampton just because he's not really owned with Derrick Henry either. But I just want this advantage with Trey McBride. So we'll go Jefferson, Henry, McBride. So my overlay is showing what I have as an ownership to the player in this particular tourney. So that's the first number. So we'll look at a player that's a little further down the board. So if we look at George Kittle, I have 16% George Kittle. My next number is the ownership of my first quarterback, which of course is going to be 0 right now because I haven't drafted a quarterback. And then it's going to be my first and second round pick. So I have no George Kittle, Justin Jefferson teams, which seems bad. I have no George Kittle, Derrick Henry teams, which you're going to just see that number stay 0 throughout this draft because this is my first Derrick Henry share. And then the next two numbers are quite important. The first one is the projected ownership of that player with my first round pick. And then the second one is my projected ownership, the overall projected ownership of that player with the second round pick. So if you look again at George Kittle, 7% of teams are doing Kittle Jefferson teams and 9% of teams are doing Kittle Derrick Henry teams. And you'll see that number fluctuate. Xavier Worthy is a great pick if you can get him on a Justin Jefferson team because he's only been drafted on about 3% of teams with him. Mike Evans is basically never drafted with Justin Jefferson, and that's a lot of the times in these early rounds based on which side of the board they're going on. So I use that quite a bit to make sure that I am getting as much of a different team versus the field as I can in general with certain players. It's just the way that I personally like to play the game. And I think there are so many different ways to play best ball that I do not fault anyone for their decisions on how they want to play it. Some people refuse to pull up first round players. I've heard that take. And sure, if you think flat exposure to first round players is what you want to do, and then you're just looking for value to drop to you, and that's your way of approaching the game, I'm not going to knock you for it. I personally like to create my own uniqueness and then worry about the back end after that. And that doesn't mean I do that every single draft either. So risk tolerance, as Versier says. So we went through last week or the week before my first one players, and there's a lot of players that I have 0 to 2% on. I'm just not drafting them. So only 3% of teams are doing Hurts with Henry. I think that's a fun click. Let's do that. Let's just grab every position to start. We'll get a Jalen Hurts, McBride, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson team. And our goal will be just to build the team a bit different than others would. So in terms of safety blankets, as Versier brings up, safety blanket, Henry is also probably not a smart choice. It's not something that I would be looking to do. But I think that people play their safety blankets the wrong way a bit. And, their safety blankets are 4% exposure. If I'm going to actively get a safety blanket for a player, I am going to do that 4% exposure, and it just goes to what we've been talking about. I want that 4% exposure to be a unique 4%, so that it's a more powerful 4%. Like if you're drafting Derrick Henry at 4% clip and you're just taking him where he goes and you're hitting the same combos as everybody else, then why are we even doing it at that point? Is what I will say. We're about to get absolutely cooked on this pick, and we're going to vomit. But that's okay. It's expected. It's expected. Yeah. Would have been sick to get Devonta Smith there, but alas, we do not. I think this is a good spot to take Zay Flowers. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Jefferson, Zay Flowers. So if I'm going to actively be like, I don't want to get cooked by Derrick Henry, who usually goes like at the front end of this board here, then I'm going to do my best to try to get some different Derrick Henry exposures with other players. So, or do it the way that I just did it in this draft, or as RGT says, only grab Henry when he slips. And it would have to be a significant slip, sort of like it was with this particular team. So that's another way to get the last common combos, as RGT brings up. So there's two different ways to do it. If you're going to draft, if you're actively looking for the 4% and you're going to draft him in the spot that he goes, then, you know, say that Drake London was Derrick Henry here, and say George Pickens was a common player at this turn. Maybe what you do is you pull up Jameson Williams or DJ Moore or Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts and try to get a different player exposure. And that's what our tools really help you see, is what the common percentage is for each player. So that's what I would be doing with Derrick Henry. Is I would, as soon as I draft Derrick Henry in the second round, I would start to really look at who are common players drafted with him. And that is the way that I would play a 4% exposure blanket to a player. How are we trending to have this contest, Phil? This contest is going to overlay. I would bet on it. It overlays every year. Now, what that overlay is going to be, you'll see the last 2 weeks of best ball season, this tournament, people really start to hammer it because they start chasing the overlay. So if it projects sometimes for, we'll say, I'm just throwing arbitrary numbers, but like say it was projecting right now to have a 68% fill, usually it will end around like an 88 to 90% fill. So just be cognizant of that just because there's a particular number that it might look like it's going to fill at, there will be a ton of people hammering it towards that particular moment in time. All right. I think Olave is probably the play here. I don't think it's particularly close. I like 6th round Olave a lot. So let's go ahead and grab Olave as our third wideout. Justin Jefferson, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave as wide receivers. We have Derrick Henry at running back, Trey McBride at tight end, and Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Yeah. Again, I'm with you, Verse here. He's not a favorite pick of mine, but this is cumulative. He could be fine. Probably prefer him here versus maybe other sites, which I could be wrong because obviously Derrick Henry can have just insane outlier games. That we know is a fact. Ibuka goes as the first pick in the 7th round. Yeah, I'm just excited to start hitting a ton of drafts over the next month. Have some fun things planned for this month as well. Are we doing? So I just don't even see the name. We're doing 7th round Pacheco. I guess that's right. This person clearly. I mean, the Devonta Smith pick made sense, but we're pulling up Aiden Reed there, just taking and killing my exposure. That's okay. We want to make sure that we have enough Matthew Golden as well. It's on half of my freaking teams, though, that have Justin Jefferson. That's all right. Let's go ahead and grab him. Well, we aren't doing 7th round Pacheco. I mean, that's clear. I have 1% somehow. I'm assuming that's an auto click. Tis my guess that we auto clicked Pacheco or auto drafted at some point. But yeah. All right. So 4 wide receivers with Derrick Henry. That's another way that I would build Derrick Henry teams too, is if you look at some of the data based around players like Derrick Henry, they just get put into robust rooms. So if you are going to draft Derrick Henry teams, you do some of the stuff you said to get different. You can also build Derrick Henry teams as hero RB teams and really push that second running back. That's another way to get some quite unique Derrick Henry teams. So you could do it through manipulating ADP, and you could do it through manipulating your draft strategy, your structures as well. So keep in mind that those are ways to get, like, if you are doing that 4% exposure blanket, I think there's just a few different ways to really make that work for you. Jesse says with his 100% Pacheco last year, he will aim for 0% this year. Probably a good idea. Always great to work in extremes too. Should always do something 100% of the time or 0% of the time. I say that half joking, but that is it is some way that I do play games sometimes. And we do that with certain players, of course. If we get through this quick enough, maybe we'll fire onto DK. Debating it. We do need to get some drafts done. We do need to get the drafts done. Maybe I'll try to win some money on DK real quick. All right. Let's switch songs. I am oh god, I didn't even realize that GT went 17 on this one. I'm not drafting CMC, but CMC, GT, Hampton. That's a fun start for a CMC team. What do we want to do here? I'll do Mason. Perhaps. Yeah, let's do Jordan Mason. Lean into a wide receiver and a running back. I think it's fine. That is correct. Scared money does not make money. Which is funny because I think there's a lot of scared money in best ball. I also can't do ETN. I haven't done ETN. I've been the Tank Bigsby guy quietly throughout drafts. Yeah, Zay and Henry and JJ and Mason. see what's going to happen is Zay is going to set up the touchdowns for Derrick Henry. Justin Jefferson is going to set up the touchdowns for Jordan Mason. It's called synergy, Versier. I don't know if you know about it, but that's what we're looking at, is some synergy here. Okay, what do we want to do here? Oh shit, I wanted Higgins. Man, the floor hole is really just absolutely pelting me on this draft. Let's take Trey Harris. Yeah, the four hole has 3 times now. I mean, again, the Devonta Smith one was pretty obvious that I didn't think we were going to get Devonta Smith. Wasn't expecting the Jaden Reed thing, which was fine because I'll just take Golden. I love to take one of the 2 Green Bay wide receivers. Wasn't expecting Higgins to go there, though. I don't need them to smash in the same game. That's the point, Versier. Like, I need them to smash throughout the course of a season. Yes. Again, this is cumulative scoring. So I can get your point to a degree on the playoff sites, which I still think it's kind of fine, but especially on drafters where it's cumulative scoring, I think they can both have above average seasons, especially where they're being drafted, and help the teams accumulate points every week. So we want to draft good offenses. We want to make bets that the Baltimore offense is going to be good. In order for that to happen, Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry, especially with the likely injury, I think that just helps Flowers out. So while he was just a meh target to me before, I'm actively trying to get a little more of him. And I think the same can be said for like the Jordan Mason stuff. I'm just kind of fine with it. Cool. As the Mad Bowler says, having the top wide receiver for 2 offenses that are projected to be top 5-ish seems like a good idea. Yeah. I mean, and again, I wasn't a huge Zay Flowers guy this season. He needs some positive touchdown regression. But again, if Likely's going to be out for a couple weeks, I think that matters more on drafters. It gives us just a couple of weeks that we can really hit with, say, Flowers. We will see. Let's take Sharps as a 3rd RB. Yeah, that's tough. Tucker Kraft and Likely are 2 guys that I really liked. I didn't have as much Kraft as I wanted. It was something I was trying to correct, and I'm probably going to try to correct. But yeah, that's a tight end room that I really liked, was the Kraft and the Likely. Sorry, we are doing some willpower here for our pick to fall to us. I think we're fine no matter what. God damn it, man. This dude is just taking every single pick that I want. I guess we'll do McCarthy. I don't really like McCarthy, but we do have 2 Minnesota players already. We'll build out the Minnesota stack. Really wanted Herbert there. Thought we might get him. They're obviously going to be gunning for QJ on the comeback. Hey, man, that's part of the game. If I really wanted Justin Herbert, I could have taken him in round 10. And we had McCarthy and we had Jordan Love there. So we were in a good spot to get a second quarterback that we do like. So it wasn't a huge deal. I just personally am trying to get relatively healthy amounts of overweight on Justin Herbert. So that's what I would have preferred. But again, that's fine. The team that I'm really liking the way they're building is this McCaffrey, Jinky, Amari, and Hampton team. We just take out like the player of Christian McCaffrey, who I'm not drafting, and we just look at it from a structure standpoint. Taking those 3 running backs and then hitting DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Jawan Jennings, Jordan Addison, gets the quarterback. Also stacks, goes heavy Chicago there. Gets Brock Purdy for the stack, grabs Cooper Kupp. I think that's a fun team. I think it's being built properly. And, you know, say what you will about Chicago, but like if you're going to lean into a Chicago team, this is sort of the way to do it. Again, I'm not a big Rome Odunze guy. I'm not a big CMC guy, but sometimes you just got to throw away your player takes in order to build the structure you want to build. Which one verse here? I've seen a few. Refresh my memory. Maybe I have or have not seen the particular one you're talking about. I did not see that one. Seems not great. Look at Beaker taking the QJ. We're really putting the Herbert guy in a bind. Kincaid goes. We're just going to take Dallas Goedert. We are done at quarterback and tight end. We have McBride, Dallas Goedert. We have Hurts, JJ McCarthy. So right now we are 2-3-5-2. I don't really see a need for another quarterback or tight end on this team. We got our stacks there. I think we just fire the other positions at this point. And I am going to be quite fine with it. Quite fine with it. So Bigsby already went at 12. Bigsby has shot up the board, and just kind of trying to keep an eye on where he's been going in these drafts. Just ends up being too much of that. Pop Douglas goes. I'm just going to take Javonte Williams. I'm okay with it. We all have our thoughts on that backfield. We don't need to get into it. I think just drafting any of them is probably a losing proposition overall. But Yeah. Dope. Thanks for here. Yeah. So that is just a body. Verseer says, now that we have way more information, remember when I asked in the lab months ago if we could just take Fanon 100% of the time in our rooms and profit? Does that question have any more weight? I think so. I think we were some of the only people that were drafting Fanon because he was going undrafted in a heavy amount of rooms, unless I saw somebody from our Discord in it. I'm not saying we were the only ones. There's probably some others, but I mean, even now, it's like a 20th. Like, he's not even getting drafted every single time. I'm doing more 3 tight end builds because of Fanon than I have in the past, or just making him sometimes like taking McBride. I'll just make sure I get Fanon on the 19th or something like that. So I think there's some merit to it for sure. I just would mix him around like the 18th, 19th, 20th round if you're going to try to get like super overweight on him. Just making sure that you're mixing him in with other guys as well. But I think it's more than fine with all the camp news that we're getting out of Cleveland. Question is, who's throwing it to him? What's going on, Felix? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to Kendrick. Says it's the heart of best ball season. Let's get it, boys. Agreed. It is definitely the heart of best ball season. God damn it, P. Kurt. Braylon was the next pick. We are trying to get heavy amounts of Braylon Allen right now. Here's my game plan. I feel like I probably missed a wide receiver at some point. That's okay. Let's grab... Let's grab Shipley to go with our Eagles stack that we're building. Yeah, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen with Njoku as well overall. There is quite a lot of best ball right now. I'm not allowed to do college football because we are not allowed to do that in Massachusetts. So that takes one of them off the table. I'm not really an NHL guy. I don't know how I should be drafting those teams. And I'll hit some NBA after the football season wraps up. I just don't. I don't have as much skin in the game on NBA as I used to. So I've been more so like playoff format for those. They can't possibly take my pick again here. I can't imagine that they figure it out who I want here. Yeah, there we go. We're going to take Dante Thornton, the Raiders. What is going on? Drafters Fantasy is in the house as we draft this main event team. Shout out to Drafters. And you're hoping that Fanon plays a big slot. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that Fanon is a fine pick again for a lot of the reasons that we have laid out. The 2-5-6-2 build right now. We have Eagles and Minnesota stacks going on. We have some Baltimore correlation. I think it's an overall fun team. I think we need to make the running back room a little more fun. I think that is something we need to do. Shout out to Jesse in the chat, who does make all the music you hear here on stream. Follow him on Spotify. You look up Jesse Wilkins. Find most of this music there. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing, take a peek over there on Spotify. As we continue to fire on drafters, don't forget about that promo they have going on right now. draft every day consecutively, which I know most of you are doing anyways, just make sure you get your daily $20 draft in, and it will lead to some tickets and some pick'em slips. And as the Mad Bowler says, this team feels pretty good and great recovery to get pieces with Hurts late. That's why I don't mind drafting an unstacked Hurts. I think people sometimes have a fear of doing that, especially with Hurts and Jaden Daniels right now. If you don't get any pieces with them, fine. But I think there's plenty of pieces you can still get, specifically with Jalen Hurts, that it's fine. Everything will be fine. All right. Let's have some fun at RB. And let's go ahead and take DJ Giddens on this team. I like Giddens. I think he's going to end up having a clear path as the backup to Jonathan Taylor. And we don't have him with Justin Jefferson at all. Made that a very easy tiebreaker over some of the other running backs that I do like. Sitting at a 2.662 build. Still have 4 picks left. We don't have to take quarterback. We don't have to take tight end. So we are looking good. And just to close out the fan and talk, as you're saying, Versier, he's a last round tight end. I just think that you could fit him into any of the type of build you want to do. You want to do 2 tight ends with an elite tight end, I think he's fine. You want to add him to a 3 tight end build, I think he's fine. And if you want to, something I did the other night for the first time is I just punted tight end until the last 4 picks and grabbed 2 of the rookie tight ends, and I grabbed like Gesicki and somebody else, and it felt really good. So I think those are all things that you can do. Let's grab Io Manor. Wide receiver gets a little tough at the end. Not completely tough, but Io Manor as a 7 is a good feeling. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Salf is going to do some solo fan teams. I'm not going to tell you now. Do it. Do it. That's what I say. So I do think that we got some safe RB picks to start with Henry and Mason and Charbs and Williams. So any RBs I take from here on out are going to be pure upside picks, which is kind of what you're doing late for most of the time anyways. If you are looking for early production in the 18th round, you probably made a mistake somewhere. Jay Fink says your RB and wide receiver room have unique buys. Just fortunate, or do you try to do that on drafters? Just fortunate, more so than anything. I don't really pay attention to it until I start to see it be a thing, if that makes sense. Like if I start to see like 3 of my first 4 or 3 of my first 3 RB or wide receiver picks at the same buy, and then perhaps we will use some tiebreakers at that point. But it's not a huge, it hasn't been a huge deal for me this year. It honestly felt like a bigger deal last year. Felt like some teams that I really liked were kind of along the same lines. We're going to grab Monunga here. I have a 2.772 build. Yeah, so buys aren't a huge problem for me, especially this year. I think I've run into bye week problems 5 times at most this year. Just teams that I'm drafting tend to have different bye weeks. It's all worked out really well. It's been a good year for the buys. The schedule has set up quite well. Last year, I think I knew like 10 teams bye weeks off the top of my head. And this year, I don't know any. And that's just a testament to like what was going on with bye weeks last year versus this year. Not that it was like a huge rampant problem either last year, but you kind of just knew that a lot of the good teams were on bye at the same time. So you knew it was harder to build, you know, TA and TB because their bye weeks always overlapped, and trying to figure those out was a little more tricky. If I recall, maybe I'm thinking of 2 years ago. It all starts to meld together. South says that Cleveland was on a bye most weeks. That is true. That is quite true. All right. Are there any RBs that we like? Let's go to wideout. Shit, we got 10 seconds. Let's get some Troy Franklin on this team. So finally, like Lambert Smith is going earlier. There were rumors that Keenan Allen is considering signing back with the Chargers. I don't know why you would sign Keenan Allen. They seem relatively fine at wideout, in my opinion. But if the deal works for both of them, then so be it. Then so be it. Shakir just got a high ankle sprain. Well, that really ruins my freaking video idea for today. Because I always thought that Shakir was one of the worst picks on the board to begin with. Ugh. Now I gotta readdress this video I want to make. Spoiler. I was not a Khalil Shakir drafter. Not a guy I was taking. I think I took him twice on Josh Allen teams or something like that, and I hated clicking the name both times. AJ Brown's dealing with a hamstring injury. That is the AJ Brown experience. Let's do some scrolling. Look at how bad. How bad you get once you start scrolling. Do we want to overreact and say that Kamani Vidal has his place on the team? No, we don't want to do that. Let's grab Ty Johnson. I do like having some Ty Johnson on lineups. I think he has a role on that team for sure. So we went with Jalen Hurts and J.J. McCarthy, Derrick Henry, Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, Javonte Williams, Will Shipley, DJ Giddens, Kyle Monangai, Ty Johnson. We also have Justin Jefferson, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave, Matthew Golden, Trey Harris, Donta Thornton, Alec Iomanor, Troy Franklin, Trey McBride, and Dallas Goedert. I do think that there is a lot more going on with Najee than we are being led to believe. So that is why I think that he might be a fine pick. All right, that is our drafters team. Let's go fire into DraftKings, shall we? Shall we? Where's the $20? There it is. Let's fire into the $20. We are in, and we need 5 more You want to draft the DraftKings $20 with me? Jump in now, and we shall get it. And we're in. There we go. All right. So where are we? We're drafting from the 11 spot. We got Jay Fink in here. Felix is in here. Self's in here. Reveal yourself if you're in here. And we'll get this a little closer for everybody. And we have the same data points on our overlay as we did over on Drafters. So same idea here for me. Yeah, figure we get 2 in today. Two seems good. It's harder for me to drop Shakir further than I already am, Berserk, which is undraftable. But I get your point. But I get your point. I do not disagree. All right. Yeah, high ankle sprains are quite tough. Perhaps draft more Elijah Moore at this point. The guy I was drafting a little bit of already. Not a lot. Here and there. Should I zoom this in even more? Let's do that. God, I should probably be... Oh, why is this being so difficult? Why is StreamYard just driving me insane? Let's do this. Make it a little easier to see what we got going on here. South gets Bajan at the 103. Felix was going to get Jefferson there, but he gets Gibbs. I think this is going to be a pretty easy pick for myself. Monra should go here. Brian Thomas goes there. I like it. I like the Brian Thomas pull-up. We're going to grab Nico. I am going to go Nico Collins. We see a Monra go. GT does go. And you want to go Bowers? I don't have any London with Nico. I also don't have any H-Han. Let's grab Drake, London. Let's do a Nico London team. Pink King is saying Scary Terry to Buffalo. I think there is there's less than a 5% chance is what I will say that McLaurin gets traded. This is just all leveraging right now. So I would not expect to see McLaurin get traded. I think they're just going to have to figure out a deal for McLaurin. What else do you do if you're Washington? I mean, they have to give him a contract. Yeah, I want to get more London. Problem is, this is my favorite range of the draft, like this back end. Just being able to get Drake London, Lad McConkey, AJ Brown, Bowers. The Jinky fall is nice. H-Han. That's pretty dope. A Saquon London team. Pretty fun. Pretty fun. So yeah, I like London. I feel I don't have as much London as I would like. And I also want to get London mixed with like Ladd and AJ Brown a little bit. So doing that slight pull up to get those players here and there. It's tough to do because I mean you're starting to talk about taking them over like that clear delineation point of Brian Thomas Jr., Nico, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But we're not saying to do it every time. And if you're doing 200, 500, 1,000 drafts, probably should delineate those plays occasionally, is what I would say. Have a few of those different types of teams. All right, anyone building anything fun here? Should have followed up on that one team. Jefferson, AJ Brown, Lamar is fun. Gibbs, Ladd, and Marion Hampton is fun. Neighbors Bowers is always fun. Good times there as well. See what this CMC Jonathan Taylor drafter does. They go Mike Evans. Allen goes. We are going to be on the clock here in a second. We are going to snap pick George Kittle here. So we got Collins, London, Kittle. And we are going to take let's take let's take Daniels. See what we can do with a Jane Daniels team. Let's see. King King says, "Where's my boy Eric at? This Rob guy makes me sleepy." LOL. The exit button is in the top right of your screen. You can hit that X button. And I would follow it up by saying, if Eric was your boy, you would know how to spell his name. So there we are. What's going on, Don Yeezy? Yeah, Sunday streams are our chill streams. These are we just sort of hang, we draft, and all that fun stuff. All right, so we went with Collins, London, Kittle, Jaden Daniels. And I wanted to look at some of these other teams to see what they're building. You sort of see with like the CMC Taylor team, like CMC drafters are really drafting a lot of robust teams. And then they are very, like you can telepath that they're going to take like a Mike Evans with their team. So here's another thing. Because I'm just in a mood today. When you say something negative and somebody says something back to you, and then you tell them to chill, like, I don't even care, dude. Like, I literally don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm just letting you know if you're not having fun to exit out. Don't watch the stream. There's no cope. Like, do whatever you want, man. You want to watch the stream? Great. You don't know how to spell somebody's name? Fine. We're all great. We're all having fun. We're just drafting teams on a Sunday morning with 1 month left to go. And I still have a bazillion teams to draft. Just so many more teams I want to draft. We'll get them. We'll get into our drafts. We will get our teams filled out. We're going to definitely max drafters this year for sure with the overlay. That is definitely a plan. I'm still up in the air on what I want to do on Underdog. How many BBMs do I have left? So I've only done 25. I just started drafting BBMs like 2 weeks ago. I wasn't really drafting BBMs. And I'm going to get to at least 50 probably. I need to sit down and think about it and reevaluate what I'm going to do there, because part of me, let's talk about it after we take our picks. Let's go ahead and grab, God, I have a lot of RJ Harvey. Let's grab Travion. Don't want to miss out on Travion here. And we would like to get Devo, even though there's the Q tag. I haven't seen if they said anything else about him lately. Oh, yeah, it was a left hand injury. We're not quite sure what that left hand injury is. Yeah, we'll grab him anyways. We'll fix it after. So I don't know if I should continue drafting BBM or pivot my Underdog entries that I want to do over to the sprint, which right now is looking like it might not get there. Now, as we know, the last 2 weeks of the best ball season, people will just pound entries into things. So got to be cognizant of that as well. But I mean, I'm obviously not going to do the marathon. I'm doing all my cumulative stuff over on drafters, which I prefer cumulative on drafters in general. So going to fire all that over there, so I'm not going to mess with the marathon. But the sprint, let's take a look. Let's see what it's at right now. I haven't checked in like a week, but I know it was needing some help, is what we will say. Yeah, so the sprint is only 26% filled as of August 3rd. So I expect there to be a push on the sprint. I actually like the sprint format a lot too, as it is. So if we're talking about getting more teams into that format, I know that the first place is only $150,000. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm, to your point, 55,000 is, yeah, they might fill it. So I'm going to keep an eye on it though. Like I kind of want to make sure that that's not something that I should be allocating entries into versus BBM. But I think that point is correct versus here, where it's 55,000 entries, but 24%. That late push, I think just maybe there's too many tournaments in general this year or across all sites, maybe. So we're going to get some overlay on some tournaments that we usually don't, or we didn't expect to overlay. I mean, maybe the marathon's the play, right? Like if you're into cumulative scoring, perhaps the marathon is the play. We will see. That is it's going to be something I monitor for sure, like in terms of what I want to put, because I don't have unlimited funds, and when we're drafting across 3-4 sites, it is very important to allocate it the way that you think is best for you, whether that's high entry stuff, mid stakes, chasing overlay, and it gets tough, especially with those last 2 weeks, as we said. Okay, we're going to be up on the clock here in a second. We currently have 1 QB, 1 running back, 3 wideouts, and a tight end. Okay. Don't do it to me. All right. So we do get Jaden Reed. We only have 40% exposure to him in the DK tournament. Doesn't seem like enough. So we'll get some more. We do see that they've already thrown that Q tag on Shakir, which is nice. Matthew Golden does go right after us. I think I still want to make sure I'm actively grabbing some Chris Godwin, right? Like, we don't want to be... Let's grab Godwin. So team as stands is Jaden Daniels, Travion Henderson, Nico Collins, Drake London, Debo, George Kittle, Jaden Reed, and Chris Godwin at the moment. And King is asking, how do I feel about collusion in these drafts, just in general? I mean, I think that a lot of these companies have things in place to counteract collusion. People that try to collude do it in terrible ways that are very obvious, and they get banned right away for it. So I think if you see something that is quite obvious, that their systems are probably going to pick up on it. I think that they're also monitoring how many times like somebody's in a draft with another person as well. I know some of the sites are doing that, and then I know other sites have small committees that they send out certain draft boards to and are like, does this look suspect? I've been on one of those boards. So I think that there are measures in place for it. I don't think you're going to always be able to root out all of it. But unlike poker, where like you could have a massive edge on that, like how many players would have to be in a draft to collude perfectly? Right. It's tough. Mercer's only had one draft thrown out. I don't know if I've had any thrown out this year. I'm sure I have. And I haven't realized it, or it was earlier. If it was earlier. It wasn't anything lately. But once somebody gets caught, they are banned immediately. And again, they're usually doing dumb shit immediately to just stand out. And then they just get banned from the site and ruin that whole thing for themselves. So it's not worth it overall to try to do it. And could security be better on everything? Sure, things can always be better, but I think that the sites do a really good job overall of monitoring it and getting flags for certain things. That being said, there is a line, and you can't get mad when somebody's drafting differently. That's the other thing. So there is a line to actually toe in these things. Like you got to let people, people draft and make mistakes. That's the other thing. And that's kind of the argument that I like to make is unless it's overly egregious, people have to be able to draft the way they want. Like if somebody pulls, I don't know, if we're in the first round and someone pulls Lamar Jackson up to the 101, that guy might really want Lamar Jackson. That's stuff that we can't throw a draft out over, right? We shouldn't have to completely strictly follow ADP because people do stuff like that, and people just like, it's the same in poker. I've seen some of you making some poker references where it's like the guy that tells somebody else how to play, like, you can't do that, that's not allowed. God damn it, we want a Coleman to follow us. That would have been dope. That would have been quite dope. Yeah, the arena stuff, man. God, the arena. And then to follow up with what happened with Arenas, last week? Tracy seems like a quite easy click right there. Thank you. How many wideouts do I have? 5. Let's grab Dobbins. Seems fine. Seems good. Yeah, so the Arenas thing, it's like, I have a lot of thoughts about the Arenas thing that I won't share right now. But like, he just registers for 150 tournaments and then just sorts by projected points and drafts, and it is what it is, right? Kind of funny that he gets hit for an illegal gambling game. Now, is he actually going to get busted for it? Who knows? But pretty funny. Jay Finkel says he did a drafters draft. The guy started Lamar, Allen Daniels in the first 3 rounds. Then was normal after that. Again, unconventional, obviously. but there is a line where we have to let people do what they want with their money. Now, again, if they're drafting all guys that are 20th round picks or not even picks that are normal, obviously there's some crazy collusion going on there. It's a tough line. Again, I don't envy having to make the decision on some of these. I've had to make the decision on some of these. Right? I've been thrown the draft board and asked to make a decision. And it's not easy. It's not easy. So, but they are actively doing the best they can. And that's all we can can always ask for more. This is money. We want to protect ourselves. We want everyone to be protected. But it's hard, man. It's a hard proposition. For sure. Am I buying the Colston Loveland hype recently? I'm trying to get more Loveland and Tyler Warren. But it is a tough range to get these players because, as Eric deemed it, the red wedding where all these quarterbacks are going. You're usually trying to grab a quarterback in there. There are some guys I like to take jabs at in here as well, like Keon Coleman, J.K. Dobbins, Tyron Tracy. So usually I need to get one of those players, right? And it makes the Loveland Warren exposure tougher than I want it to be. But I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that a little more because I definitely don't want to be underweight Warren or Loveland. Those are guys that I for sure want on, a decent number of rosters. So I'm buying it to the extent that I can do it, but it is not easy. Let's grab Penix. I just don't have enough Penix in general. So let's grab Penix before some weird shit happens at the turn here. He does only have one quarterback with Caleb. And although he doesn't have any Falcons, he can still grab some. And then if it comes back to us, I think our pick is pretty easy. God damn it, we wanted Burden. Although he had Caleb, so that was probably obvious. Let's grab Tank Bigsby. And we are at a 2-4-5-1 right now. We have Nico, Drake London, George Kittle, Jaden Daniels, Travion Henderson, Debo, Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin, Tyron Tracy, J.K. Dobbins, Michael Penix, and Tank Bigsby right now. I just don't take the Colts quarterbacks right now. I'm usually done. I'm usually all done with quarterback. I'm just generally a 2 QB drafter. I think 50% of my teams at the moment have elite QB. So I'm just grabbing another one from here, and then I just don't even have to think about Colts quarterback because I don't really care about the 3 quarterback thing. And the Richardson's team is real. Is it good, though? Is it good if Richardson is the starter? Especially on playoff sites, because they're going to be itching to move on. They're going to want to see what they have in Daniel Jones if Richardson's not getting the job done. So I think you can navigate that anyway and make so many, you could be Charlie Day with the ball of string behind you. I don't know if it's good that Richardson starts the season sort of like it wasn't great for Justin Fields to start last year, where they moved on to Russ and then they just stuck with Russ for the rest of the year. I think maybe Russ needed to start the year, and the only way Fields was going to be viable was if he came in afterwards. So Rich comes in. He just had his worst passing day in camp. If he does start, what's that leash? Right? And as B-Max says, the health thing, but I not even taking that into account, which is another thing. What is the leash on Anthony Richardson? The coaching staff sounded like they wanted Daniel Jones to be the starter. So I don't know, man. You hear all the, we're going to do this again with A-Rich. And we're going to hope he gets through the whole season somehow. Where is he a better pick? You know, like that was my problem in the beginning with Daniel Jones. It's like if Daniel Jones only makes it through 7 weeks and he's not looking great, then they just bring Richardson in to close out the season. They figure it out next year. So now we're sort of flipping that. Now is Daniel Jones actually the better pick? I mean, you just Uno reversing yourself into oblivion if you're trying to figure out this Colts quarterback situation. One of them probably is a good pick overall, especially for 3 quarterback builds. Well, which one? I mean, see, this is the point, right? Like, as Kryeth says, AR-15 starts get pulled for Dimes for poor play. Dimes does okay, then struggles. They say he's injured. AR-15 closes it out. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, these are I mean, I don't blame you for having these thoughts, but like these are the thought experiments we have to do with the quarterbacks. So I'll just take Jaden Daniels and, you know, Penix and move on. Like that's the way I'm going to play it. We'll just move on from that point. Let's grab Ertz. Not a big Ertz drafter, as you can see. But let's grab Ertz. I only have 5 wideouts. Is that the situation right now? Not great. I'd like to be at 6 right now. But alas, we are not at 6. We were hammering Dylan Sampson early in tournaments, luckily. We're going to grab Trey Benson, though. Shout out to our highest drafted player across all sites, RB1. I don't know if you guys heard, but he's an RB1. Yeah, I'm not taking him, though. Sorry, Versier. He's a fine pick, but he's not an RB1 like Trey Benson. James Conner said that Trey Benson is also an RB1. And we're going to draft him as so. And we are going to pump our Trey Benson bags for the whole season. And then cry maybe when he doesn't do well. I don't know. Probably this situation that's going to happen. Probably the situation that will occur. But we are okay with it. I ended up going here in the 14th. I mean, it's back and forth there in the Cleveland camp as well. Like, just not going to be a great team. Apparently, Dylan Gabriel is terrible, though. That's the reports that I've been reading out of Cleveland camp. So they're going to have to start with Flacco. And then what do? You probably have to play Shador. If Dylan Gabriel is as bad as they're making him out to be, ooh. Yeah, we would like for James Conner to not wishing for injury, but let's just say we want him to take a little break. Yeah, Shador seems like a really good Superflex pick. Superflex is just not my bag right now. I decided to not draft Superflex teams this year on any site. Just staying away from Superflex just to try to, monitor what I want to do going forward. Speaking of going forward, we are going to be doing DFS content at Spike Week this year, which is exciting. And I don't know if we'll just do it as a channel in Spike Week, but I want to do something in terms of Survivor tournaments, because I like Survivor tournaments. I've won 2 in the past 8 years now, and something I'm interested in possibly starting a channel or maybe doing a video every week. Because I think people play Survivor tournaments terribly. We talk about level 1 thinking in best ball. I think level 1 thinking is heavy in Survivor tournaments. Oh, very cool. Glad you had some success on Survivor last year. I made it to week 16 in a tournament that was worth a lot of money. And I made a tough pivot. I don't remember the exact circumstances. God, a wide receiver is gross. Just take Dante Thornton again. I want to make sure we're getting some more of him in these drafts. And we went ham on Pat Bryant when he was cheaper. I haven't been drafting on DK much in the past month. A lot of these percentages are like a month old or older that you're seeing. Just pull Diami up. We'll pull Diami up. I wanted to double tap wide receiver there. Yeah, so I think I might try to do something with Survivor, but I think that Survivor tournaments are, I think you can provide an edge. It doesn't mean you're going to win every year, for sure. I won in 2016 and 2020, and one of those was a pretty large one. Last year's was, I think it was $400,000 when I made it to week 16. And I just did something wrong with the Colts. I can't remember if I took them when I shouldn't have, or it was something wrong. I actually think I took the Colts to beat the Giants in like week 16 or something like that. Maybe week 7. I don't know. Whatever week it was. And they went into New York and got absolutely obliterated, and I should have held them. Doesn't matter. Point being, Survivor tournaments are a lot of fun, and it is easy to predict what the general public is going to do in a Survivor tournament. And it is easy to find pivot points sometimes. Some weeks are tough, and some weeks you just got to play the chalk. But overall, people are predictable, and there's just an edge. Even if it's small, there is an edge in Survivor tournaments. There you go, Versaire. Probably good. Probably good is what I will say. But yeah, Superflex, maybe next year. There's just so many tournaments this year. So many places to put your money in best ball that you got to make some decisions. And for me, it was, let's not attack Superflex tournaments. Which is probably wrong overall, to be honest. If we're talking about finding edges, that's probably a format that if I really sat down and looked at it and saw what people were doing, I could probably find something that I particularly think is exploitable. So it's probably wrong for me not to play that. But my brain only has so much bandwidth. And we're doing 80 to 90 hours a week right now of work overall. So we're just juggling a lot of balls. And I don't want to add that Superflex ball into there. All right, we are about to be on the clock again here. I think we are done at tight end with Kittle and Zach Ertz. Although I'm not anti-Fannin on this team. He'll be fine. Oh, Darius Slayton. That's someone that I would have liked to have drafted. and Noel. You guys are killing me. Let's take Giddens again. Fink takes Hunter. Let's take Krosky Merritt on this team. And that should end our RBs probably. I mean, technically we could do another if we wanted. Who are our RBs? We have Henderson, we have Tyrone Tracy with J.K. Dobbins, Tank Bigsby, Giddens, Krosky Merritt. That's good. Yeah, Dart's probably a really good pick in the Superflex contest as well. He's probably good in the playoff format stuff as well. Don't care for him in cumulative, though. I just think that we're going to get Russ a little longer than we want. Although that schedule, perhaps not, because that schedule is not easy by any means. Oh, the Jamarcus Russell comparison for Shador. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. I'm old enough to remember Jamarcus Russell. Old enough to remember a lot of players. This beard is getting very gray this year. I feel like every day I wake up and there is more gray in this beard. Perhaps a bit more than I want. Yeah, Jamarcus Russell. Yikes. That has to be someone from Spike Week to have taken Fannin in the 18th round. Yeah, self. Fair play. I mean, you just see some of these drafts, right? Like, not to knock on this guy, but what are we doing with Darren Waller? Why? Just why? Yeah, so I agree with this, that Krosky Merritt feels like he's going to have a ton of team potential after the preseason games. Trying to get him while he's still in the early 200s. I just think he's going to have a tough like he's looking for an injury to get on the field, which is fine because that's where we draft these players. Like we know that a lot of the players we're drafting back here are contingent upside picks. So totally fine, right? To be drafting for that. I don't know what he's going. I want him. I want to draft him, but I think we are looking for some very specific things for the outs. That being said, he's a player that I am drafting. So there's a couple guys that I think have cleaner contingent value plays, but Eckler's old. Brian Robinson, is Brian Robinson. He's fine. So I'll find things. All right, we are on the clock here in a second. Let's go ahead and take Lambert Smith. Can't let everybody else have all the fun. Made us some money in Showdown. So that was nice of him. And again, I found that there it is. Let's take Elijah Moore. All right, so we went with a 2-7-9-2 build with Nico Collins, Drake London, George Kittle, Jaden Daniels, Travion Henderson, Debo Samuel, Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin, Tyrone Tracy, J.K. Dobbins, Michael Penix, Tank Bigsby, Zach Ertz, Trey Benson, Deontay Thornton, De'Ami Brown, DJ Giddens. Should we go with JCM? JCM's tough. JCM, KLS, DJ K Slay, Elijah Moore. I think it was good. I think we had a fun draft here. Built out some Washington stuff. Got a Michael Penix to Drake London stack. I think we're good. I like it. That is going to do it for us here on the Sunday Sicko Show. We got 4 or 5 Sundays left. One of them's going to be insane. I might let that plan out of the bag very shortly. But we have a lot of fun stuff coming up on Spike Week. We have a lot of fun videos. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are part of the Discord. It's premium Discord for just $5 a month. Or if you have the Spike Week tools, you get full access to it, which means you get access to the lab every Wednesday night, which is where we are all jumping on a conference call. Me, Eric, a lot of the drafters that you see in these. I am not giving away $1 million. I wish I was giving away $1 million. That would be great. I cannot afford to give away $1 million. Damn, first name. We're getting out of here, but I'm glad you made it. Glad you made it. Anyways, we'll catch you guys next week. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out until probably tomorrow night with me and Eric. Catch you later. Peace. Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on. We draft a team. Boom. You know about it. We have another spicy take. Boom. You know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right. We'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.